Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Power Rangers Season 3, Episode 30 of my show, but this is about Episode 29 of Season 3. Now, Episode 29 in the original Power Rangers third season is part 1 in the 3-part episode, Master Vile and the Metallic Armor. But before I start talking about it, I just want to mention, since we're on episode 29, that means we got 4 more videos left. Let's see, because 4 more because of the 33 episodes in the main segment plus the 10. Let's see. Yeah, 4 more episodes in the main segment, and then we've got about 10 episodes in the Mighty Morphin Alien Ranger segment, plus the character bio video for the 5 Alien Rangers. So technically we still got a bit of more videos left, but not very much left for season 3, at least not for this main segment, I mean. But anyway, getting into the actual episode here. This is History of Power Rangers Season 3, Episode 30 of my show, but this is about Episode 29 of Season 3. And Episode 29 is Part 1 in the 3-part episode, Master Vile and the Metallic Armor. And basically what happens is Part 1 in the Master Vile and the Metallic Armor 3-part episode. And basically the way this episode starts off is the Rangers, as well as Bulk, Skull, and Lieutenant Stone are basically riding on these horses, and then I think one of the Rangers, I think Rocky says about making the horses gallop, and then basically when Skull overhears that, he says he doesn't want them to gallop, so he decided to back out of it. But then Lieutenant Stone says that if everyone else gallops, so does he as well. And then basically that's when this basically leads into what's gonna happen. Because there's this shaking that happens in this portion of the episode, and then the planet basically goes dark, and then it goes into the scene where Rita and Zed and Rito are on the palace, and then they're getting affected by the shaking as well, and then this being shows up in the palace, and then basically when Zed sees the intruder, he's like, "Who dares intrude in my castle? And then when the mysterious figure was up, he's like, "What? Who dares ask a question of me?" Wait, first he's like, Zed's asking the intruder to identify himself, and then basically the intruder is saying that, "What? Who dares to ask a question of me, Master Vile?" And then Zed's wondering, he's like, "Master who?" And then basically Rita's astounded by that, and then Rita is basically she's slowly introducing Zed to Master Vile. It's like, but first, Zed is asking Rita if she knows this person, and then Rita said that, Zeddy, meet Master Vile, my father. Basically, as I stated in the character bio video, Master Vile is Rito's father, basically. Now, he's only gonna last for, like I said in the character bio video, he's only gonna last from this 3-part episode after the first 2 episodes of Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers. I just wanted to get that out of the way again since I brought it up. And then basically what happens is, after that, Zed and the others are astounded by that, and then the Rangers decide. Well, then it goes back into the Rangers because basically what happened was because of the darkness, they decided to teleport to the command center to ask Zordon about what's going on and stuff. To find out what's going on, and they're wondering if one of them's wondering if they can do it, and then Billy said that it's dark enough. He doubts that Bulk and Skull and Lieutenant Stone will know they're gone. Notice if they're gone, and then basically they teleport to the command center, and then basically what happens is when they get to the command center, everything in the command center is like all power outage kind of thing. It's stated by Zordon when they come back online that it's because of Master Vile showing up, and then basically after when they manage to get to the command center, like I said, they see that there's power outages and stuff, and then the power's out in the command center, which, as I stated before, is because of Master Vile arriving. And then after he fully arrives on the moon, because when he first arrived on the moon, the command center's power source was temporarily interrupted, so the power was off for a short time in that portion of the episode. And this portion of the episode now, the power is back on, which means Zordon and Alpha are back to normal because the power outage is restored, and then basically, the Rangers are happy to see them back, and then they're wondering what that power outage was about, and then basically Zordon explains to the Rangers that the command center's power source was temporarily interrupted due to the presence of a very powerful dark force. And then basically, and then they're wondering, one of the Rangers, I think it might have been Tommy or Rocky, but one of them asks Zordon what that dark force was, and then he says he's not certain, but he has suspicions about who it is, and then he shows them on the viewing globe the image. He tells them that this is Master Vile, that the being that showed up on the moon, which interrupted the command center's power, was Master Vile, who is basically, as I stated, Rito and Rito's father. And then when Rocky hears that part of it, he's like, Rita is a father? And then basically that's when Adam in this portion of the episode gets a little makes this sort of sarcastic joke, because he's like, nice family tree, first Rito and now this. And then basically Zordon explains to the Rangers about how Master Vile is a much more dangerous force than the Rangers had fought previously, and then Alpha agrees with them about that, and he tells them that he's conquered the M80 galaxy. He's conquered another galaxy which is covered in rust, basically, which I think is called either the M80 or the M54. I think it's M54 galaxy. I'm not really sure. And then they're wondering if they can beat Master Vile, and then but Zordon explains that while dealing with Zed was sort of tough for them, it's going to be even tougher for them to defeat Rita's father, because of the fact that he's more versed in the ways of evil, which is basically, he's more experienced, so he's going to be difficult for the Rangers to defeat. And then basically, then that's when it goes into the segment where it goes back to the moon, and then basically what happens is Master Vile gets upset with me and he's like, "You married Lord Zed? You couldn't have married someone who had a skull." And then when Zed overhears that, he's like, "I may not have a skull, but I've captured the great Ninjor. What do you have to say to that, Dad?" Which he's being sarcastic about the dad thing because because Master Vile is Rita's father, so since he's technically married to Rita, he's like his father-in-law, so sort of thing. Oh my god. Anyway, and then they mention that then Master Vile wonders if it's true, and then Rito said that it is, and then it's true, Pop, right in here. And then he goes to walk over to Master Vile with Ninjor in the jar, but he trips, which then causes the jar to shatter, which frees Ninjor. And then basically Master Vile gets upset with Rito. He's like, he's like, "You miserable excuse for an offspring." And then Rito tries to defend himself by saying it's one of his fault. He's like, G-Pop, I'm sorry, it just happened." Which is technically true because he did trip, and because of him tripping, he dropped the jar which contained Ninjor, which caused him to be freed. So it's technically not his fault that Ninjor's free, it just happened because of him tripping, so it's a technicality. Anyway, then Master Vile is telling them to capture Ninjor, because he needs Ninjor in order to complete his one of his master plans. And then Rita is wondering what her father's master plan is. And then basically all he tells them is that, let's just say it involves a very special crystal. The Zeo crystal, to be exact. Now, the Zeo crystal thing, that's actually going to play a hand in the entire storyline of the Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers segment and the entirety of Power Rangers Zeo. I just wanted to bring that up. I'll explain more about the Zeo crystal when I get to the part with Ninjor, and then basically what happens is, and then Ninjor manages to escape from the palace, and then basically he meets up back with the Rangers, and then he informs them about Master Vile's plan using the Zeo crystal. And then the Rangers are wondering what the Zeo crystal is, and then Zordon is explaining to them that the Zeo crystal was formed by these sages that was a very powerful crystal which was protected by these sages, and these sages placed it in a force field that was underneath, that was in the Caves of Deception, which ironically, the caves, now this is what I mean by ironically, ironically, the Caves of Deception that the Zeo crystal was placed in was directly underneath Zed's palace, which technically states that the palace itself wasn't always a presence of evil, it was once good. So, and in order to protect the Zeo crystal, what happened was the sages put this sort of spell on it to create a barrier for it that allowed anyone that didn't have an ounce of evil to touch the Zeo crystal. And if anyone with an ounce of evil inside of them did touch it, it would destroy them. And then basically, basically Ninjor explains that, as they know, Zed took over the palace and corrupted its good magic, turning it evil. But in the process of doing so, he wasn't able to corrupt the caverns below where the Zeo Crystal was stored. I think that's because of the force field the sages put on it in the first place. And anyway, basically, then that's when the Rangers realize that they have to get the Zeo Crystal in order to stop Master Vile, and then that goes into the segment with Rita and Zed and Master Vile and the Moon, and Rita, Zed's like,
"You'll never get the Zeo Crystal! The force field will destroy anyone who contains even an ounce of evil."
And then Rita makes a joke about that, saying that Zed tried once and look what happened to his face. And then Zed gets a little annoyed by that. He's like,
"Very funny, Rita. The force field is nothing to joke about."
And then, he says that it's not for them to worry about because it's part of his master plan and everything. And then basically, then he gives this bag to, Zed and tells him,
"You, brain boy, feed this to the Tengas."
And then basically, he's wondering what's inside of it, and all he tells them is something to give the Tengas a little more bite for their beak. And then basically, he's saying that his father's home and he'll make everything wrong again. And then basically, he takes Rito and Goldar with him in his space skull, which is his flying base. And then basically what happens is, after that, Rita wonders, what's happening, and then basically Zed tells him that she'll know in just a minute, and he uses his visor to look, and then he sees that her father is in his space skull, which is basically his mobile fortress. And this is the part of it that's gonna get a little gross, because he's like,
"Stand back! I'm going to make a monster that's gonna put all of Lord Zed to shame."
and the way he makes it, this is gonna it's gonna sound kind of funny, but the monster he makes is called the Blue Globber. Now the reason why I say this is the gross part of it, because the first monster he makes is he makes it by vomiting out this egg, which is gross. That's just my opinion on it. And then basically he creates the Blue Globber, and then basically the Rangers then see that, and then they go to deal with the Blue Globber, and then first what happens is they first deal with the Tengas, but dealing with them after they've been powered up, after Zed has fed them. And basically what happens is, after they fight the Tengas a bit, the Rangers then realize how tough fighting the Tengas is because they've been powered up because of the food that they've eaten. So they retreat, and then that's when the Blue Globber shows up, and they go to deal with that. And then what happens is, while they're fighting the Blue Globber, Ninjor goes to help them, but the Blue Globber captures Ninjor, which was part of his plan. And then basically, after that, what happens is, the Blue Globber gets away, and then basically, and then it comes back later to deal with the Rangers, but it hasn't been powered up by Ninjor yet. But basically what happens is they fight it, but they realize how tough it is to fight it, and then they basically retreat. And then basically what happens is after that they need to find a... And then Zordon explains that they have to get the Zeo Crystal in the palace. That's the only way for them to that's the only way for them to stand a chance against Master Vile, and they're wondering how they can do that. That's when Catherine explains that she will pretend to want to go back to being evil again as a diversion in order to prevent Rita and Zed from knowing about the Rangers trying to get the Zeo Crystal. And then basically what happens is Tommy and Kat teleport to the commands to the palace. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm rushing this. I'm not. But before I continue, before I finish, I'm just gonna backtrack. The Blue Gobbler did capture Ninjor, but the part of him being captured, the part that happens after he's captured isn't until the next part. I think. Anyway, basically, the Rangers, after Zed gets annoyed with Rita about how her father's doing better at his being evil than he is, and then she basically says that her father's plan is that Zed is saying that her father is saying that Rita's father's plan, it's annoying him because it's working, and then basically Rita says that, you're just mad because Danny's more evil than you are, and then basically he's they're wondering if they could have one of the Power Rangers. He said he could had to find a way to defeat the Power Rangers, and then basically Catherine basically explains that in her Ranger form is like, what if a Power Ranger were to help you? And then Zed explains that that would be the day, and then Rita realizes that that's Catherine's voice, and then basically what happens is she shows up back in the palace, and they're wondering what she's doing back there, and she says that she's changed her mind and she wants to be evil again. And then Zed's saying, he's asking Rita what he thinks and what she thinks, and then she's saying that I knew my little Catherine still has a little evil in her heart. The Pink Ranger now belongs to us, and that's basically where part 1 in this 3-part episode stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it, just please give this video the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys next time for the next part. So until then, like I always tell you with this series, may the power protect you always.